What we've got here is a partisan Democrat district attorney. We have a Biden donor judge, and we have an assistant DA who was recently a top official at the Department of Justice, Biden's DOJ.
It is truly embarrassing. Grown men groveling at the feet of this sociopathic skin tag who, and this is the insane part, will 100% toss them aside after he's done, like a used gym sock.
It is pathetic.
He then, before all these other things were exposed, even then had the view that Trump lacked the character and moral center needed for the White House. I'm afraid he would break more things than he fixes. He's a hothead by nature, and that's a dangerous trait to have in a commander-in-chief.
So I have to ask, are there any men left in the Republican Party?
Everybody has made their own assessment of President Trump's character, and so far as I know, you don't pay someone $130,000 not to have sex with you.
When Mitt Romney lost to Obama, he showed the kind of class that this psychopath will never understand, much less exhibit.
I want to be a dictator.
And Romney has shown flashes of honor over the years, particularly when it comes to standing up to insurrectionists and for democracy, at least as we used to know it. And while Romney and a scattering of Republicans have stood up to Trump, watching the so-called Christian speaker defend tiny fingers was just too much. So Romney tweeted, "I think it's a little demeaning to show up in front of the courthouse, and particularly one where we're talking about the allegation of paying off a porn star. It's really very difficult to watch. There's a level of dignity and decorum that you expect from the people running for the highest office in the land, and going out and prostrating themselves in front of the public to try and apparently curry favor from this guy is embarrassing." He's right. Trump cheated on his wife at least twice, and with Stormy, it was while the mother of his children was at home breastfeeding their child. And yet a parade of so-called conservatives who have aligned themselves with evangelicals,
famed evangelical,
are now offering their asses up to be plowed by this guy? Really, this guy?
I will do my part to protect AM radio.
And it's not just altar boy Mike Johnson, but a huge swath of weak little boys standing beside Trump, when we know for a fact they hate him. J.D. Vance called him Hitler. Cruz and Graham called him a human blight, as did Rand Paul, Rubio, and others. Can anyone explain this to me?
It's probably not the best idea to take direction on law and order from a guy who, as we speak, is a defendant for covering up hush money payments to a porn star for political gain. That's not even to mention the other 3 criminal felony prosecutions that he's facing. And look at the cover of today's New York Times, Mr. Speaker. This is unbelievable. Here's a picture of the Speaker of this House of Representatives, second in line to the presidency, standing in front of a courthouse acting as a prop for Donald Trump, trying to interfere with a criminal trial because apparently Republicans like law and order unless it applies to them. Unbelievable. You can't make this stuff up. And this stunt, I'll say to my colleagues, this stunt of the Speaker and members of the Republican members of Congress going to this courthouse, this stunt diminishes this House of Representatives. Their candidate for president has been indicted more times than he's been elected.
To refrain from engaging in personalities towards presumptive nominees for the office of president.
I didn't think I was. And somehow, Madam Speaker, they have the nerve to tell us about the criminal justice system. Give me a break. Their credibility on this issue has evaporated. It is pathetic.
But Republicans don't seem embarrassed at all. It's like they're mainlining the Kool-Aid.
You think this is a vote about whether or not we still have democracy in this country?
It certainly is, you know, and Donald Trump has told us exactly what he will do. He will not abide by the rulings of the courts. He will certainly appoint people to office, whether or not they can be confirmed by the Senate. He has talked about using the military in terms that really are fundamentally un-American, including here in the United States. So it's a very dangerous moment. And it's a moment for people to understand that cannot be the path that we go down as a country.
Consistent as usual and in line with her unyielding defense of our country, Liz Cheney slammed these Republican incels for showing up at the trial and standing outside defending Trump. She aimed her criticism specifically at the socially conservative Speaker Johnson, saying, "Have to admit, I'm surprised Speaker Johnson wants to be in the 'I cheated on my wife with a porn star' club. I guess he's not that concerned with teaching morality to our young people after all." Boom. Of course, you remember that Mike Johnson admitted that he and his son check each other's phones for porn, which established him as one of the weird religious freaks soaking themselves in irony. I mean, really, can you believe anything this guy says? Watch him squirm here.
We've heard a lot this week about Democrats supporting defund the police. The Republican Study Committee budget cuts the main federal grant program that local departments use to hire officers. How is that not proposing to defund the police?
I haven't looked into the details of the RSC budget.
And it gets weirder. Trump has been seen writing notes for all these humps, then watching them echo his talking points time and time again. Scam, sham, Cohen's a liar.
He said this is a sham.
This was a sham, election interference. This is a sham.
I wanted to be here myself to call out what is a travesty of justice.
Where's the crime? There is no crime.
This is a sham. This is not the United States of America. This is some third-rate banana republic.
All of this begs the question, what happened to the GOP?
The Trump campaign is in full damage control mode following a troubling story broken by the Washington Post today.
The sheer entitlement that he exhibits, where he just feels like he's entitled as a powerful person.
That suggests that he feels that, he is entitled to take what he wants.
Well, I always love that apology. If I've offended anyone, then I apologize. That's not an actual apology.
I think that last night's apology was not heartfelt. I don't think that he really meant it.
Now, granted, Cruz and Graham and a few other Republicans have been silent, but honestly, that might be worse than speaking up in Trump's defense, whatever that is. Silence implies acquiescence, and that is dangerous on a multitude of levels. But maybe, and probably what's going on here, is these spineless, traitorous turds simply want to be vice president, which on the surface you might say, oh, a lot of people take jobs with bosses they hate. Yeah, maybe, but before you try and get this job in particular, ask yourself this. If you and the boss disagreed, would he want you hanged?
Not only politically ruined in the party because he was only loyal through Jan 5th, but then targeted for assassination and hanging on Jan 6th from a mob incited by Trump. So the courthouse Veep stakes includes people who are saying, oh, they want that job. They want to be Pence or, frankly, Cohen. There's other ambitious figures. Conservative Congressman Byron Donalds was seen there. Vivek, I mentioned. Speaker Johnson, who is the party leader or perhaps follower in this incarnation of the Republican Party. And that's the photo you see. These individuals feeling like they had to do this, pass this litmus test, or they want to do it, because it's not enough to just defend Trump in public, and it's not enough to say you believe he is innocent, which of course you're allowed to say, but they actually had to show up within the criminal trial.
In politics, it's difficult to guarantee election results at every level, and especially in this supercharged, chaotic social media environment. No one believes the bad polls while everyone clings to the good numbers. But I can tell you a certainty. Sometime in the next 12 months, Citizen Trump will turn his back on these weak incels currying his favor and do his patented rat funk to each and every one. That is as sure as gravity. But I can tell you a certainty. Sometime in the next 12 months, Citizen Trump will turn his back on these weak incels currying his favor and do his patented rat funk to each and every one. That is as sure as gravity. But that's not the end of the story. They say karma's a bitch, but that's not right. Karma is justice. This is the bitch.
Crazy.
Damn right.
I'm Chip Franklin.
This isn't their Republican Party anymore.